Steven, how in the world are you?
Oh my God, you guys look great. How's it been?
Incredible. I mean, we haven't seen you in person in a minute, but it's so good to catch up. Things have been great. We've been traveling a lot this summer. It's hot over here in Florida. How are you doing?
Well, in California, the sun is shining, but not every day, as I'm sure you've read.
I miss that.
You miss California, don't you?
I
You'd
do.
come back. You'd come back if it was
Back.
different. If it was different, right? If the state was open
Oh,
for business.
that's right.
I know. It's a little different than when we grew up here, right?
hmm Sure
Pretty
is.
amazing. So what's going on? What are you working on?
I have to tell you, it's amazing. We've been busy. We've had some celebrity golf tournaments. We've raised a ton of money. I learned from you. We've really been focused on philanthropy and a lot of the things that we did around the employee relief fund at Diamond. I've really kind of moved into my little MF Entertainment business, and I think I looked the other day. Corinne did some data, and we're over $7 million that we've raised and been able to give back to children's charities and I learned a lot of that from you, brother. That's good stuff.
Well, we learned when we buy broken businesses. Sonterra was broken, 20 years unfixable. Everyone said disaster. No one could fix this company. No one. Do you remember? It was it was really the red herring of the entire hospitality sector.
Well, what you did, and I'll never forget when you hired me, was right after. It was actually in January of 2011, and there was a really significant milestone there because we didn't know if we were out of the Great Recession quite yet or not. We kind of thought we were, and you remember there was a bond debt, rather the bond was being called, and it was coming up in like March of 2011, and you all had just done some really great work to get that moved out to 2014, and it was like, hey, all clear. It's time to play some offense and really start focusing on growing this business. So I was really in tune to what you did at Sunterra. I mean, the whole industry was. I mean, it was really amazing. In fact, I tell you, do you remember to this day in the history of the vacation ownership sector, which is a $12 billion sector now? You remember when you did that walkaway program for all of the existing Sunterra owners? When you bought it, there were some leftover complaining because of the old past. And you basically said, hey, look, I'm going to give you all an opportunity, no strings attached. Walk away if you want. You remember that?
I did. And I remember when I did the due diligence of Sunterra, because that was a combination of different broken companies put together too, as we took over more broken companies. They're all broken because they didn't take care of the customer. They forgot the customer. Like my dad said, always give the customer more than they bargained for. Same thing with taxes and in politics and policy. We're just looking for a fair shake and just do the right thing, execute, be accountable, transparency. And I found customers that were sold from others. We never got the profits.
Right.
But we gave people their money back because I said it was the right thing to do because they were sold something that was not sold properly. It was not disclosed properly. They weren't getting what they bargained for. And I remember the accounting people, they said, you can't do that. You're going to drive the company into debt. I said, well, no, I think if we do the right thing, everyone will be happier. And you know what? Not as many people canceled because we were transparent.
Right.
And those that needed to cancel were sold improperly or they weren't given what they were bargained for. I mean, it was so simple. I think it was like 3,000 people or something. I was like,
yeah.
Well, you were and still are the only founder and CEO in the industry to have ever done that. So
in the history.
No,
I don't know why others didn't follow that, but to me, it was so common sense. I mean, why do you want unhappy customers, and why, even if it was somebody else did it, I bought the company, I took the reins, so make good on what's good. And that's how simple I thought it was. That's why I put my business card at every front desk, which no one ever imagined doing. I don't think anyone's ever done that still in the industry with my live email and my live cell. I mean, I'm responsible. It goes to the fact of, I remember I got a phone call from somebody after I did that. And they said there was a housekeeping problem at one of our properties. And I said, I apologize. They said, well, you didn't do it. It was the housekeeper. I said, well, I am the housekeeper.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
Well, Stephen, it's funny because, I just finished, we're having this. I mean, I didn't realize I was going to get a chance to catch up with you today. And I just read your book, The Meaning of Yes. I just really went back and read it for about the 15th time. And I really can't read that book enough because it's got so many.
Oh, checking in with the meaning of yes in it. Yeah.
No, I'm saying, yeah, but the Meaning of Yes chapter is the one that I continue to focus on. Yes, the book's checking in, but the meaning of yes is out. I mean, it is so simple, but so powerful. And I'm telling you, when we worked for you and when we led your business,
me, not for me, but go ahead.
That is correct. That is correct. But when we led the business,
you left me, and you're back into the old system for. No, it's we together.
But that's the whole point. When I was reading, the meaning of yes, no one to this day, and it ties right into you putting your business card. That's what prompted me to think about it as we're sitting here having this conversation, is you had your business card at the front desk, and you, by the way, picked up the calls. If they called, you picked it up and you had the conversation. No, it was not your assistant. It was you. And I remember we would get those calls. Hey, listen, Mike, go check into this. Mike, look into that. And the meaning of yes is so simple, but so powerful. I mean, really, absent buying somebody a new car or some craziness that was completely unrealistic, we literally didn't say no, did we?
Because people just want what they bargained for, and we thought of unexpected. Once we nailed that and did a good job, and we changed the culture of the company, two things happened. I remember our guests would say to our team members, where's the meaning of yes? The guests would demand it. And then the team members knew that nobody would get fired or have a problem if they delivered the meaning of yes. Great guest experience. And it goes to our philosophy. So I hope you guys take this forward in your lives. Always take care of people. You make a mistake, raise your hand. I'm not perfect. Are you perfect, Mike? Correct?
Absolutely.
I don't know anyone that's perfect. I mean, we're all learning. It's always, if we lead with love and inclusivity, and we fight against hate, and we do the right thing, and if we make a mistake, we raise our hand to go, I made a mistake. Let's fix it. And you always try to push the ball forward with love and inclusivity and fight against hate. I believe we use common sense and do the right thing. The world's a better place in anything that we do. And we taught people to serve, guys. I led by example, where I'd pick up cigarette butts or sweep a floor or teach somebody how to make Caesar salad dressing, or even fold towels. If you remember, I'm sitting there ripping off all the towels and showing everyone how I'd like them folded with the tag on the back, and getting involved with making sure even it's clean underneath the bed and putting that card. Remember that everyone said, you put a card under the bed? Yes, we clean here too. That kind of detail. But leaders lead, Mike, and you're a leader. Corrine, you're a leader today. You guys have grown in the industries now. You got to lead by example. And if everyone knows you can do the job too, and you're willing to roll up your sleeves. But I mean, we bought all these broken companies every single time. And I know we got tagged every now and again for the sins of the father, as I call it, the folks that did it in the past. But these companies were so broken because of illogical thought. And we just took it upon ourselves and fixed it. I mean, how many of these situations do we deal with?
Well, there was during our tenure together, there were 11 acquisitions that we acquired, and of the 11, 8 of them had to be put through a bankruptcy process simply because they were broken. They weren't doing what they were supposed to do. The HOAs were underfunded. We had to come in and we had to fix that. And in some cases, like you said, we did get tagged. In particular, in Arizona, we bought a company out in Arizona, you'll remember, and they had been inundated with.
What was that? That was ILX.
PVC, I think it was that particular company.
PVC, ILX, was it the same? Huh?
Yeah. The parent
it was Joe Martori's company.
That's correct. That's exactly right. And they were inundated with attorney general complaints. They were underfunded. The guests were unhappy. They didn't get what they bargained for. And firsthand, we had to fix it. And,
And that's actually another great example of your leadership. From that acquisition came the Arizona Assurance of Discontinuance. I'm sure you both will remember.
Oh, wait,
And,
we changed the law in another state from a past situation.
well, essentially, what was painted in the media to be a negative portrayal actually was an amazing accomplishment by Diamond. It worked together with the Arizona Attorney General's office. Under your leadership, you led the company into on its own before even working with the Arizona Attorney General to relinquish members' ownership interest should they choose to. And then through the AOD, Assurance of Discontinuance, you formalized that process and agreed as a first mover in the industry to have a specific process where it was a formal, they could go through the company, and a lot of other developers took your lead on that and started their own program for relinquishment after the AOD. So working simultaneously with government, buying through the AOD under your leadership, I would say was one of the greatest outcomes from a legal perspective under your leadership.
Well, it's funny. I think the greatest trophy, and I'm not one for trophies. I've never been. I hate getting honored. You know that. I let you guys all get the trophies, and I like to watch when you get the trophies. And I remember, in my accomplishments, when Marriott and Starwood and Hilton copied what we did on Wall Street, and then they tried to copy some of our consumer techniques. They could never do it, because they're big corporate and we're entrepreneurial and take care of our team, our culture, and take care of our guests all the time. And we always bit the bullet. We changed laws in many states. I think Nevada, we went ahead and wrote NRS 119A, which is the act, to make sure everyone else plays by the rules. Because I think when I was learning the business, that it just started where people were trying to convert guests, twist guests. They were trying to steal guests from other people. I thought that was unlawful. And it morphed into like these exit companies, which, Corrine, you became the expert on, like going after them, where all they were doing was ripping off the consumer further than anyone could ever imagine than what I saw early in my career. And it was like whack-a-mole. And the consumer didn't even understand. Well, you remember that? I mean, you became the expert at it.
Well, you put some great leaders in charge over at Diamond, and everyone in the C-suite was able to see and realize the problem. Under your leadership, you had told us all, here's what's going on, here's what to look out for. But really, nobody knew the size of the problem. Once we dug down into it in the legal department and started investigating and started looking further into what was going on, we realized that there weren't that many unhappy owners like the reviews on the internet said. In fact, they were mostly owners who were happy and who were solicited and induced by these exit companies to not like their timeshare or not want their timeshare, not want their product. And curiously, for a very large fee, these exit companies would get them out of their ownership, which was a falsehood and a complete scam. So we endeavored at Diamond to start going after the exit companies and to file numerous, a handful, maybe 13 federal
13 federal lawsuits.
Yep.
How many people did you put? How many people did you have attorney generals put in jail?
The attorney general actually shut down one exit company, the largest exit company at that time, and they are out of business. And we also received permanent injunctions against, I believe, 13 exit companies, and there's still that's still out there. That there's a lot of actions against that exit company, but there was a lot of great work done in the legal space to protect consumers and to really keep your mission alive, which is customer first. And if that
I get that. So why didn't others, why weren't they as aggressive as me fighting extortion and corruption? Why? They were just too big corporate. They didn't care as much as we did. Why do you think that was? You've been doing it longer now, or still doing it. What do you think?
Well, from a legal perspective, I think that they were afraid, they didn't know what they didn't know. And from a business perspective, I think Mike can speak to maybe what
Yeah,
they
but
were
a lot of them didn't understand, from a business perspective, just how, negatively impacted their business was, or they didn't want to understand it because of the brand. They didn't want to go out and they didn't want to talk about it. But, at the core, which is what you were always about, was protecting the consumer. And, this is an illusory business. They simply cannot do anything but for the developer allowing them to cancel. And we saw time and time again how they were just taking advantage of people. I mean, people would go in there and pay 10, 12, 15, $20,000 when all they had to do was call us, and we would have happily taken it in for a basic administrative fee. But the consumer, the guest, didn't know that. And so what was happening was they put them through a foreclosure. Of course, they could have done that on their own. So meanwhile, their credit's getting dinged until it works itself to a charge off. And they go to take their child or their grandchild to college, and they go to co-sign for them to lease an apartment, and they realize that their credit is completely ruined, and they don't understand why. And they look, and it turns out that this company that they partnered with, that they paid $20,000, simply put them through a foreclosure and ruin their credit. And the minute that you learn that, I remember the day you said, Mike, you can't spend enough money to go after these people. We will not accept it.
Well, Corrine, you're still working on this, fighting the fight.
I am. I still work for a law firm, and a lot of our clients are developers, and various clients are still filing actions and obtaining these permanent injunctions or settlement agreements, whereby these exit companies agree to no longer, solicit or advertise to a certain developer's membership base, because they get caught red-handed, and they know what they're doing is wrong, and they know if they go through the entire case in court that they're going to end up with a bad ruling against them. So a lot of them do settle out now, and it's we're trying to keep the word out there, and we're trying to keep it alive in the press to just help timeshare and vacation ownership members realize that these companies, they say they do one thing, but they do not, and always reach out to the company first.
Yeah.
Why don't more people fight extortion and corruption like this? I mean, this is so blatant against the consumer. To me, I would fight the fight forever when it comes to the consumer getting hurt. I don't get it.
Yeah, a lot of states, their attorneys generals or their state attorneys, they look at the case and they have to see how much evidence they have to win in court. And I think sometimes the evidence is there and sometimes it's not. It doesn't mean that they don't want to go after them. It takes an aggressive leader of the state or of the local government to pursue the action, and it takes a lot of resources to find the evidence. These exit companies, they operate in secret. They are hiding from the authorities. They are hiding from law and law enforcement. So they're performing their alleged service in a way that's hard to catch them. But you do see it occasionally. Some exit company owners and executives have gone to jail. They have served jail time, and it does happen. It needs to happen more.
You know what? I've changed legislation in so many states. And you guys know I did it federally, statewide. I should run for office again, because the common sense just doesn't exist anymore. I don't understand. We have leaders that don't know how to legislate, that don't know how to regulate, that don't know how to adjudicate. They don't know what happens when they talk about a law and maybe the unintended consequences of the 20 plates that are spinning. I mean, policy is no different than business. More business leaders should get into politics.
Well, that's just what I was going to say. I was just, listening to you talk. I mean, as a country, and or a state, we couldn't be so fortunate to have someone like you that would be willing to run, to really have true leadership. Because at the end of the day, if you look at these politicians that are out there today, most of them are career politicians. Most of them have never had to make a payroll. Most of them have never had to run a business. And you look at the success that you have had as a business leader, but then you look at the underpinning of why you were successful, because you always took care of the customer and because you did the right thing and went above and beyond. I think there are tremendous opportunities for that to parlay into the world of office. Yeah, I wish you would really consider it.
I second that.
Go back to work, huh?
Go back to work. We need you, baby.
I know, I love it. I'm good at it. So it's fun. You never know what the future holds. You never know what the future holds.
Hey, going back to Diamond Resorts for a second, one thing that I wanted to share with you, and I don't know if I ever had the opportunity to actually tell you this story and kind of bring it full circle, but you'll remember, one of the key issues that I had as we were competing against the big brands, against the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the Hyatts, etc. We had to go be different, right? We had to be better. We had to be innovative. We had to do things that our members wanted. We had to give them more than what they bargained for and what they paid for.
Well, let me stop you. Let me stop you, because we talked to them and asked them what they wanted.
Correct. And, when we started our Events of a Lifetime platform, back in late 2013, when we tested it, and then in 2014, we knew that we were really onto something and we had a proof of concept. And then by 2015, we started scaling this thing. You'll remember that in 2019, we did over 3,000 unique special events, whether it was sports, whether it was culinary, whether it was live music, comedy. We were basically, when our guests were coming on vacation, we were giving them the opportunity to go to one of these events of a lifetime, which was an additive, which was over and above, what they paid for. And you had actually retired, but when I ended up selling your company to Hilton in August of 2021, they actually came to me after we closed on the deal, and they said the number one reason why we bought Diamond Resorts was because A, you took care of the customer, and B, the Events of a Lifetime platform. And they said we did it as 1A and 1B because they were equal.
I'm proud of you. I remember when you came up with the idea. I mean, we were saying it a different way, not talking past each other, but you took it to the next level, because we wanted to totally disrupt the industry. And the way we disrupted the industry was creating memories, because we knew we were in that business, but secondarily, not selling.
Yeah.
We made it to what the customer wanted, and all we had to do was explain the product to the customer, and they asked for the product. So we changed the entire dynamic from a sell to a request, and then we executed and delivered, which is important, and showed results.
100%. And to piggyback on that thought, you may not remember, but I remember it very well. You would personally call sales that were over $50,000, and you wanted to understand, hey, why are you buying this? You remember that? I mean, you would sit down.
Because I remember there was a nurse. I remember specifically the first call. There was a nurse that spent over $50,000, and I said, Mike, come on, really? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to start calling everyone over $50,000 or a certain amount of money. I said, because I want to hear from the consumer that this is real and why. I want to understand from the consumer why.
Yeah.
And of course, introduce myself and thank them, but I wanted to understand why. And it was something that's never been done before. We gave value to the consumer. They saw it. We executed upon it. And if we made a mistake, we fixed it. But we always made sure the customer got more than they bargained for. It goes back to what my dad taught us. You remember my dad? Of course, I'm going to cry if we talk about him in a good way, because I loved him so much. But I mean, if he was the founder, and we just built on the shoulders of our forefathers. I mean, and if they made mistakes, we picked up the pieces and fixed them.
Well, I don't know what your plans are, but California sure could use your innovative and leadership and the way that you led the company and all the things that you taught us and the way that you lead people. It's one of a kind. So if you don't have any plans, I have a good idea.
I'm getting recruited. You're making me think more of this. So
Well,
I take
said-
on, Michael, we take on the most difficult. It's not like I haven't done it before.
It's not like you haven't done it, and it's not like you haven't done it successfully. I mean, frankly, they can only be so fortunate in the state of California to have a business-minded leader that really cared about the physical issues and took them seriously. You know, you're always going to do the right thing with the people. You always have your entire life, but imagine what you could do to fix the physical stuff that's going on out there. And I mean, they couldn't have a better person.
Well, I'll keep you updated. I'm so happy to see you guys.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you,
We miss
Steve.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Be well.